first rule is this: if you're working too hard, you're doing it wrong. Most of the things that people do, most of the behaviors in which they engage when they're up here on the stage, involve trying to do way too many things at one time. And it's the attempt to manage all these different things at one time that help to fuel the anxiety people feel. We're going to show you that the way to do it right is to figure out how to work much more simply than what you're used to. Most of the problems people have when they speak come from the fact that they're trying to do way too many things at once. They try to keep track of way too many variables. They try to, well, they have too many things going on in their head at one time. They're working too hard, and if you're working too hard, you're doing it wrong. In fact, obviously everybody knows that today we live in a very multitasking environment, right? We're expected to do all sorts of things at the same time. The greatest thing about speaking, when you speak before a group, is if you're doing it right, you learn how to do what I guess man did at one time in its history. It's called unitasking. Unitasking, it's a word, I don't know if it's in the dictionary, but unitasking means doing one thing at a time, and that's the beautiful thing about it. I often tell people I hardly think I'm ever working when I'm speaking, because it's one of the easiest things I can do. I never have more than one thing that I'm thinking about at one time, and we'll see how this works. The second rule is that when you do it right, it's always a win-win for both you and the audience. If you're doing what you're supposed to be doing at any given time, the speaker wins, the speaker gets benefits, and the audience gets benefits at the same time. It's always a back and forth. Finally, the third rule is probably the most difficult one for people to actually engage in practice. But it's probably the most important too. And that is this: people only start listening when you stop talking. See, most people think that getting up in front of a group is all about opening their mouth and impressing the audience with the breadth and depth of their knowledge. And that usually means a continuous stream of words that come from the presenter's mouth. The problem, as you'll see, is when people do that, audiences don't have a chance to really listen. All of the best speakers out there, people you consider to be great speakers, know this rule, that people only start to listen to you once you stop talking. And if you think about that, just think about some of the best jokes you've ever heard. Think about a comedian who delivers a joke. Some of the ones that are really funny are the ones that it takes you a second or two after the punchline's delivered, before your brain can process what was really said, as opposed to what you thought it was going to be. And when you hear that, wow, that's funny, you start to laugh. People only start to listen after you stop talking.